I'm leaving the coastal city of Trujillo behind in favor of a more inland route as I make my way south towards Lima. And since Lima is over a 10-hour drive away, I'll be overnighting in Huaraz, which is around the halfway mark. Welcome back, everyone. I know I'm not far from the coast here, but I've seen absolutely no one in the water, so either the ocean is too cold or the waves are too dangerous. Maybe both. Trujillo wasn't my kind of place to stay and explore more than what I saw at the ruins, so I'm hoping to satisfy my scenic desires with some mountainous terrain. The road I'm currently on is along the border of the departments of La Libertad and Ancash, separated by the river Santa. I'm really surprised at how rocky and sandy this region of Peru is. Jeez, it feels like I'm on Mars. The mountains you see ahead are part of the Andes, and out of the whole range, they are the closest to the coast in this region of South America. So there is the Rio Santa down on my right. Not much water in there at the moment. And that's a good thing, because I probably wouldn't have risked riding through knee-deep water. This low spot here is nice and dry. Easy peasy. Man, I got lucky. If that river was full instead of dry, I would have had to backtrack an hour. Alright, back on smooth pavement, and time to pick up the speed. Whoa, look at these rock formations. Pretty cool. Okay, there's a waterfall and a truck, but I'm not too worried because I survived El Trampolin de la Muerte. Finally, the scenery I've been looking for. If you plan on riding through Peru, be sure to check out this road. You will not want to miss it. I later found out it's called Cañón del Pato, which oddly enough means the Duck's Canyon. Jeez, there sure are a lot of tunnels on this road. I believe around 35 of them. This is gonna take a while, so I'll spare you the boredom. So here's a close-up of the route I was just on. This area was the Martian-looking landscape. And then the Andes Mountains really start to close up on you as you traverse Cañón del Pato. The scenery after all those tunnels got a little bland, so I'm going to fast forward a bit to just outside of the city of Huaraz. I'll be navigating to a small and cheap hostel I found in town. My Google Maps is telling me it's just 13 minutes away, but we'll see how easy it is to find. Okay, I pulled over to have a real good look at my directions. This is all that's left until I reach my hostel. Simple, right? I don't see much traffic, so that's a plus. Huaraz sits at roughly 3,050 meters, or 10,000 feet above sea level. It's been a gradual climb since the coast in Trujillo, so I didn't notice the elevation change that much. It certainly is a lot colder though. If your motorcycle is carbureted like mine and you're climbing a lot of elevation, you may want to reduce the size of your main fuel jet to compensate for the thinner or less dense air. This will keep the engine running in tip-top shape. The main economic activity of Huaraz is farming and adventure tourism. You'll definitely notice a lot of tourists wearing outdoor sports clothing. The surrounding area is a hiker's and mountain climber's paradise. If you visit the area to explore the surrounding wilderness, be sure to research the Huascarán National Park. There are some world-famous trails there with breathtaking views. Okay, so here is my street, the last turn. Looks like a nice and quiet neighborhood, too. Alright, looking at my GPS, the hostel should be here on the right. Well, I don't see the name of it on the outside. Maybe that one's it. This just looks like a restaurant. A cevicheria. This might be a worker from the restaurant. I'll ask him. Okay, so he's pointing up the street. I guess Google Maps is wrong on the address. I'm not surprised. So let's head up the street and see if we can find this hostel before it gets late. Oh great, I hope this place still exists. Otherwise I'll be hunting for another place to sleep for the next hour or two. And I don't have cell phone service to use. Okay, so this might be it. Looks similar to the pictures online. Yup, it has to be it. No signs though. Oh well. Hopefully someone is home, and hopefully they're still in business. No one was home, and I ended up waiting 30 minutes until someone showed up. I was about to leave too. Oh well. I took a look at Google Maps and planned out the rest of the way to Lima. Another 7 hours to go. Given my level of fatigue, I might actually spend a couple of days in Huaraz to rest up for a bit and tour the city on foot. It's been a couple of days now, and I can't get over this view from my hostel's balcony. Look at those Andes Mountains, just incredible. I feel ready now to explore Peru's largest city, Lima. On my second day here, I ran into another traveler named Arne, who is also from the United States. We had a lot in common and quickly became friends. We even bumped into each other in Lima, then again in Chile, and then again in Germany where he's currently living. Oh, and spoiler alert, when I visited Arne in Germany during the same trip, I ended up meeting a beautiful woman, fell madly in love, and became a father. This enabled me to stay in Germany where I am now editing this video, but that whole story is for much, much later. So for now, let's get back to Huaraz to the morning of my departure. To my unpleasant surprise, I got my first flat of the trip. I emptied my cases and got all the tools out to see if I could repair the puncture. I quickly got the wheel, tire, and tube removed for a closer look. Turns out that I had a long cut in this heavy-duty inner tube. The patches and glue I had weren't strong enough to hold it, so I ended up using my only spare inner tube, which makes me want to look for another one here in town before I leave. This repair reminds me that if you're interested in seeing what I took with me for tools and spare parts, you can pause the video on any of these pictures. When I was putting this repair kit together, I wanted to use as many tools as I already had, and what I didn't have, I spent very little money on. This isn't the lightest solution for a toolkit, but it was certainly the most cost-effective. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's get back to the bike and the rest of the journey to Lima. Phew, that took all of my energy this morning. I have to get going because repairing that flat took way too much time. I'm gonna skip breakfast this morning and look for a replacement inner tube for my rear tire while I'm still in Huaraz. I just don't want to get stuck somewhere with another flat. I didn't record myself purchasing a replacement tube, but I did manage to find one, and it's nicely tucked away in my tank bag. I feel much better now that I have all that behind me. With my mind at ease, I can really soak up the beautiful, changing landscape. And speaking of landscapes, this one really reminds me of how Colorado looks like. I am really amazed at how diverse Peru has been so far. I've already passed parts of the Amazon forest, luscious green farmlands, rolling green hills, dry and rocky mountains, desert, the coast, the Martian-looking landscape from earlier, and massive canyons that seem to swallow you whole. I know I'm only just scratching the surface of what South America as a continent has to offer for tourism, but so far I have to put Peru at the top of my list. There is so much ancient history here as well. I counted 99 significant archaeological sites listed on Wikipedia. The sites range in complexity from a single stone figure to larger ancient cities such as Chan Chan and Machu Picchu, which some claim could have been a large estate or citadel. And don't worry, I have put Machu Picchu on my short list of places to visit in Peru. Alright, I'm on the coast and looking at my GPS, not far from Lima. I guess you can say this part of the Pan American Highway is like the PCH in California. Very cool. I just reached Lima's metro area, and I have to stay focused here. I always get a little nervous the first time riding in these larger cities. I never want to wind up in a rough or dangerous neighborhood. And not having researched much about Lima, I have no idea where these areas are. I'm basically just following my GPS. The traffic is really bad here. There's not much order, and sometimes you have to dodge pedestrians, wagons being pulled by horses, taxis, and newer cars racing down the streets. No wonder most of the cars have banged up fenders. Oh, wait a second. I'm being waved down by the police. Crap. Crap.